welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to have you here on the brand spanking new SRI Racing Network for coverage of the SRI Season 1 Daytona Speed Weeks. Tonight's race, the Daytona Continental Round 1 of the SRI Season 1 Sports Car Championship, featuring the high-powered GT race cars of the GTE class. As I said, I'm your host, Carl Hicks, and we are thrilled to have you here today for the inaugural broadcast of the SRI Racing Network. Last night we kicked off competition with Speed Weeks in the IndyCar Series and saw one of our front runners here tonight, Pogo Mojo, pick up the first win in IndyCar competition on the high-speed banks of the Oval with a terrific run. We've got some of those drivers in here tonight, but a very different field as well for the SRI Sports Car Championship. Get this shared here, folks, with our viewers on the SRI Racing Network. And there it is, folks, up on the broadcast. Well, qualifying is wrapping up. The Continental, along with the Le Mans Grand Prix of Endurance in mid-season, one of the two extra long endurance races. The standard, the other 8 rounds of the championship are standard 1-hour races. This would be a 90-minute race. So we may be coming back in and out on the commentary over the length of this, but we're going to take a look there, and it looks like O'Brien in the Caporal Chevrolet is going to take the inaugural pole in the SRI Sports Car Championship. He's going to be followed closely by McToasty. Pogo Mojo, last night's IndyCar winner, will start 3rd. Alu in 4th. CDN Trooper, a very experienced driver in these cars, will start 5th. The veteran Cat guys in a Corvette in 6th. And those, I believe, with the exception of McToasty, all vets up front. New driver NXW starting 7th. Cautious Liquid, another new driver in the Porsche, he'll be in 8th. Just Bidlin's Corvette is 9th. Molotov will be starting 10th. We've got Muttley in the Ford starting in 11th. Quiet Man will be running another vet in 12th, and CMC will round out the field. Close to the beginning. Looks like a 1:41.0, very fast lap time from O'Brien, some 8/10 up. Could have had some drafting, but also just a big difference between the qualifying trim and the race trim here at the Daytona International Speedway, the SRI Daytona Continental. This race goes back many seasons under different sanctioning bodies. First time here officially under SRI sanctioning, and we've got a really solid, as I said, a veteran field. O'Brien, a veteran driver in the vets. A lot of time used to seeing Chevy versus Ford battle in the GTE class, which is this season, in Season 1, the top class of the SRI Sports Car Championship, which is the series you are watching. We've got some Fords in there. It's always been a Chevy versus Ford battle. Often you've seen some Ferraris. We've got one Porsche in the field there with Cautious Liquid. He's a debutante driver here, one of the new racers. And I think we're just really ready. They're just really ready to see this race go. Looks like we got Cold checking in. Cold, you should come join up. Check us out, folks, we operate off of Discord, so go to discord.com, search Sim Racing International, 3 separate words, and you can find SRI, which is the best in console-based championship racing. right, these guys are waiting. It's going to be a manual rolling start, guys, so when you see the lights, they are not going green. They are going to take one parade lap around the track, and that parade lap will include will be a single file start. And we will walk you through these drivers here. Of course, this race here on the American leg of the SRI Sports Car Championship, the first 4 rounds here in the States. Then we've got European leg, and then we end up in the Pacific region with the final at Bathurst. Highest qualifying European driver appears to be Alu82 in the 4th spot. And he's a quick one. But it's O'Brien leading us up. He's in a Corvette. Got a lot of vets in the field, as you often see. Ignore the lights, folks. They are going to be hitting pace speed for the first lap, around 90 minutes running on the clock for the Daytona Continental. Time to make some picks here. You know, O'Brien, Pogo with the win in the IndyCar last night, already off to a great start here in SRI 1 Daytona Speed Weeks, getting the first IndyCar win last night. And of course, those of you here, I don't know that it will be on the broadcast other than maybe some onboards, but we do have the SRI Grand National Championship starting up tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, and that will be the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, in the high-powered Ford Mustang Cobra GTO stock cars of the SRI Grand National Championship. So we'll be looking forward to that race, and hopefully seeing you guys out there here on the SRI Racing Network. Brian leading the way. McTosty's running the Beamer this season. I forgot about that. He is the lone BMW factory rep, and he's not super confident, I don't think, on the high-speed circuits such as Daytona with that car, and then went out and qualified in the 2nd spot. So I don't think there's much to concern. You're going to have to see how they run in the draft. You know, the big thing about Daytona, we'll talk about it a little more going through the race, is that you've got to balance your setup in the car you're going to run and the tires you're going to run. You know, you've got the flat, very dirty, and very difficult infield, and then you've got the high banked oval, which can do some crazy things to your tires if you're playing, you know, any sort of something interesting with your caster, camber, whatnot. So it can definitely affect how the race plays out. Viewing it here from the back, there is another BMW CMC coming out as a BMW factory teammate of McToasty, so we'll see what he can do from the back. But it is a long race. They're going to have to make pit stops. They're going to have to race smart and keep the car underneath them. And guys who are fast in qualifying and fast in, you know, standard, you know, in the first 5 or 10 laps of a run may not be in the same position as you head towards, you know, the green, as you head towards getting the tires worn. Pardon me as I'm getting myself situated here. But they are coming down to the first green flag in the history of the SRI Sports Car Championship, and it's O'Brien, our inaugural pole sitter, leading us down, followed by McToasty with Pogo Mojo behind him. And they are coming down to a green flag here at Daytona. Looks like O'Brien gets himself a good jump. McToasty's got Pogo not right behind him. Probably a good time here to take a look at our chase cam. Back in the field, looks like most of the field getting through cleanly as we cycle back. No big moves, everybody taking it pretty standard. Excellent start, so let's get back up to the front of the action. O'Brien's got a little bit of room there on McToasty and Pogo. They've all settled in their qualifying positions right now. McToasty in 2nd, Pogo 3rd, Alu 4th, CDN Trooper 5th has been qualified. You see the makeup looks like Cat Guy trying to put a move there on the inside of his bed against his factory vet teammate CDN Trooper. Corvette Racing bringing a strong contingent to the Daytona Continental this season. These guys just getting it revved up. All of them know it's one races in sports car racing, and it kicks off the first of 10 rounds in the SRI Season 1 Sports Car Championship. Look a little ways back, I'm sure we got some battling right there. We got Molotov being challenged by the Porsche of Cautious Liquid, and he's going to make that work and move up through into 8th place. We also see NXW. Looks like Alu had a little bit of problem in the Factory 4 GT. He's fallen back from 4th down to 7th, possibly through the bus stop there. It's going to be hard to keep track of all the action. That's going to move everybody else up in front of him. Back in the field, Muttley and CMC side by side. It looks like Quiet Man had a little bit of an issue from the middle of the pack and is back in 13th, not far behind, trying to get himself gathered together. Meanwhile, up front, trying to keep an eye on the action. Let's get back to Cat Guy and get on his chase cam, the fastest drone pilot in the world. As you are looking from Cat Guy in 5th place, looking forward at the top 5, trying to get the early break here. Let's see what the car feels like. He's looking to make the move on CDM Trooper. Former champion in these cars under different sanctioning, so that is a very good driver right there to be running behind. Alu's collected up that Ford. You got another pack coming up behind him. There's Molotov in the 38 Live Store Corvette, settling in right there in the middle in 7th place. He's got Cautious Liquid looking very solid in that factory Porsche. Surprised we don't see our usual Porsche driver, Deadly Hawk, not making the trip to Daytona this week. And Cautious Liquid getting strong. He's looking very solid in that Porsche coming through the bus stop. And as a result, has moved up a little 8th place. He's got another veteran just piddling though in that high-powered Corvette coming up on him as they're working their way down the front stretch. Meanwhile, up front, looks like Cat Guy's lost a little bit of time to the front group in front of him. Pogo managing to move up. Did somebody else fall back that I did not see there? CDN has moved up into 3rd. McToastie's fallen back to 4th. Pogo in 2nd. CDN in 3rd. McToastie back to 4th just behind them. And Cat Guy, you see coming up behind that group. So that first 5 working it. But Alu, after starting 4th and having a little trouble through the bus stop, he settled in nicely into 6th and trying to maintain contact here with that front group. We've got battling right here between Molotov and Cautious Liquid in the Porsche behind him for 7th place. We're going to stay with the front until we get the field sorted out. Looks like a relatively clean start here on these first few laps. He's got some pressure from McToastie. Keep in mind when you're on the oval section here at Daytona, a gap that appears to be 10-15 car lengths is really not that far with the draft. He is technically right on top of him. Let's see how that Beamer of McToastie's is handling through the bus stop. He's got that BMW M6. His teammate CMC has moved up from shotgun on the field to 10th here in the early lap, so BMW looking pretty solid with a 2nd place qualifier and already a few positions gained. But really just getting settled in. 13 starters here for the inaugural SRI Daytona Continental. Watching, check us out at discord.com, search for Sim Racing International, join us on Discord. It's the SRI Season 1 Daytona Speedway. As I said last night, the US 300 IndyCar opener, it was that driver right there in the number 39 Live Store Corvette, Pogo Mojo, who picked up the win in the US 300 inaugural car victory. Later on tonight, of course, the Grand National Championship will be running the Daytona 500. And of course, tomorrow, Speedweeks continues with the V8 Supercar Championship on the Pacific Tour. They will be running here at Daytona, and the touring car, SRI Touring Car Masters will be running the Daytona Touring Masters race here tomorrow afternoon. 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Okay. Take a look back at that. Back there, CMC. Chase canvas, he is in 10th, and he's got 7th, 8th, and 9th right in front of him. You can see how tight this is coming through the bus stop. Two Corvettes, Porsche and a BMW. Looks like they shot past Costa, who falls back in that Porsche. He took a little bit of a bump there, but just couldn't. But just staying patient, staying in touch with the guys in front of him is really the name of the game. They're going to go 3 wide here, and this might not be a good idea. Might not be a good idea at all. And they are racing hard here in the first few minutes at the Daytona Continental, trying to maintain touch with that front group. And gotta say, cautious liquid in that Porsche, making a good account of himself. As is CMC, who is the mover of the race in that 77 BMW, started 13th on the field. He has moved all the way up to 8th. We do have some trouble reports. Quiet Man's fallen a bit off the pace. He's down on the apron, I'm assuming possibly has damaged some. Yeah, he's got some damage to the front of that car, and it looks like NXW, the debutant in the 28 Paris Spirit Corvette, had a little trouble. He's fallen more than a minute off the pace. I'm not sure if there's damage there. I did not see him as of yet make a pit stop, but that car looks like it's a little wobbly. Let's see if he does hit the pit lane here. Let's see if he does hit the pit lane here. No, he's going to stay out. But Quiet Man, meanwhile, in the 29 Mist Engineering Corvette, he will be hitting the pit lane and trying to get repaired, get back out, and try to score some points. SRI qualifying is all based on points provisionals, and you need every point you can get in the championship, so we'll hope for the best for him. Meanwhile, a little bit of a gap opening up front. O'Brien's got that Corvette off the pole. He's got about a second Logo Mojo right behind him, as those two veteran American drivers have a bit of a lead. CDN Trooper, meanwhile, has taken the 63 bet into 3rd. It's a 4th straight Corvette coming right behind him in Cat Guy. And it looks like McToasty in that Beamer has fallen back to 5th after qualifying 2nd. Not sure if he's having a handling issue or just not feeling the pace. We'll check him out next time by. He's in the 43s and they're in the 42s. We'll see if that BMW could have some problems. It looks like CMC moved up again. He's got by Molotov and moved up into 7th, so he has moved halfway through the field in the first 7 laps, from 13th all the way up to 7th. So far, driving the race for the American CMCF in that BMW. But we got a long way to go, and there's a lot of mistakes and things that can still happen. Now watching there as CDN Trooper and Cat Guy in the battle for 3rd. Let's go ahead and get some Corvette in the cockpit of the vet as GR Cat Guy's on the backstretch heading towards the bus stop tip. CDN Trooper in 3rd. Got to be very careful in the bus stop, especially as those tires wear. Fuel burn off will help you out, give you a little bit better balance. But those tires get worn, that bus stop is the trickiest parts of the track. Earlier, really must manage your setup. If you go for all-out speed on the Speedway, then there's always a very good chance that you'll have a very difficult car to handle the infield, especially when there's some more tire wear involved later on in the run. It'll be interesting to see. We expect the guys to have to make at least one scheduled pit stop for fuel. When and where they'll do that will likely be around the midway point in this race, given the timing of it. However, a couple guys making a couple stops. They pit early. I don't think they're out of it by any means in this race. You see Cat Guy just trying to maintain. There is a lot of aerodynamic disturbances. This is, as we call here in the States, the dirty air track. Even if you run on the road course, and Cat Guy, they're just trying to maintain got a couple of track marshal penalties on the board. Looks like minor ones. 2 seconds for CDN Trooper, 4 seconds for Molotov, a 10-second penalty for NXW. I don't think he's been in the pits, that would be it. But those are the ones on the board right now. Meanwhile, that guy, I can tell you from experience of many seasons of running with him, he's in that factory vet and he's cruising where he's at. As long as he's maintaining contact with those guys in front of him, he knows that this is a long race and he needs to take his time, not make any mistakes, and you have a very real shot at finishing well in one of the biggest races of the year. The American leg here of the SRI Sportscar Championship will be right in line with the American Tour races. Daytona, Sonoma, they'll be racing at Daytona, Sonoma, Circuit of the Americas, and the Brickyard Grand Prix at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Then we'll head to Le Mans and the European leg and finish up out in the Pacific at Bathurst in round 10. So the Sports Car Championship with the GTs, the SRI's top-level sports car, this is going to be a fantastic title race. Looks like Chip Piddlin back in 90 picked himself up a penalty. They are battling, and it looks like, oh no, Cautious Liquid went around there in turn 1. It looks like he caught it without getting any damage. I don't see anything wrong with that car. He's had a good drive so far, so I think if he stays with it, he can come right back into this race. Meanwhile, 8, 9, and 10, they are battling nose to tail there in the infield. You're looking at Muttley in the factory number 7 Ford GT, as he's known to drive. Molotov directly in front. It looks like Molotov went around in the Moose Store 38 Corvette there in the International Airways. He gets it up and going. No harm, no foul. And I'm looking for good things from him. He showed a lot of promise in the preseason races. And we'll see if he can maintain top 10, maybe even get up to a top 5 position. Just Piddlin's got a red mark on the board and a 2-second penalty at the moment. A little surprised to see him back, and it looks like Quiet Man withdrawing the car, having some kind of trouble. So of our 13 starters in the race, we are now down to 12. We have our first withdrawal from the Daytona Continental. That was Quiet Man. Let me take a real quick moment here. We're going to take a quick station break. Allow me to see if I can get our withdrawn driver into the party. Hang with us. If he chooses to join, we'll have a word with him. So an early withdrawal here, and we're down to 12 cars still on the track. I wonder if NXW is battling with some type of... It doesn't look like there's anything. I don't see any visible damage. And he's had a decent pace, so he's far from done in this race. I think he's got a very good shot at moving it back up through the field here. Nobody else has been in the pit lanes as of yet. Just Piddlin and Muttley battling on the track. We're seeing a little separation. The second I set up to do the track walk, we will have some type of action. So I'm going to hold off on that for now and just try to get some different views of the action here. As Piddlin's got Muttley not far behind him. You can just... Little man here trying to get on top of me, my color commentator who doesn't say much. Down over there. You just sit on right on top of me, boy. But Piddlin back in 8th, trying to move in on CMC. Let's go ahead into CMC in that BMW. Started 13th, shotgun on the field. Veteran stock car driver. We've seen him in Indy cars, but he's come out here in that BMW. He's come out here in that BMW and done a hell of a job getting some Give me a second here on the broadcast. Going to see if I can get another one of our potential broadcasters. I'm going to add Ty Joe here if I can. Hang with us for a second, folks, as we work out our broadcast booth. Don't want to be missing too much action. Get out from behind me, boy. I'll never have to have Sam Posey do that to Paul Page now. Come on. Give us for the technical difficulties real quick, folks. Be right back to the broadcast. Alright, sorry about that. No major changes here so far. But we were talking about CMC's gone from, he was 13th at the start, started shotgun on the field. He has moved, had the drive of the race so far, moved up into 7th. 144.0 last time by, one of 2 BMWs in the field, and he is in contact with Al U82 in 6th place and possibly has a shot. And I see a Ford GT falling all over the place. And that was Muttley running into a little bit of trouble. Don't see any damage. Looked like it was possibly turn 1. I think he looks okay. And we'll just try to get back on it and head forward. Muttley's trying to get it back under control. Meanwhile, Cat Guy and CDN Trooper, they are staying right there, battling 3 and 4 in those 2 factory Corvettes. I think they're just staying patient right now, just trying to maintain. We're still in the first half hour of this race, running under the lights. As you can see, the track temperature a little low, being a night race and being in spring. Ooh, and around goes CDN Trooper in turn 1. As I said, those tires start going and guys start having problems. He looks like he avoided contact, but he's going to lose at least 2 positions and possibly 3. No, it's going to be 2 as he falls back to 5th place. I don't see any damage on that 63 Corvette, but that's what you can see happen as this race is going. We've seen it with that. Cat Guy moves up into 3rd place all on his lonesome. McToasty takes him into 4th in the BMW. So CDN's got to gather himself. He's now going to be under pressure from the factory Ford GT of Value 82. He's going to be trying to track him down and move up through the field. So a lot of action here in the first 24 minutes as these guys start working on what they think their strategy needs to be. Mind you guys, later on tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be continuing Daytona Speed Weeks with round 1 of the SRI Grand National Championship. That will be the Daytona 500. Don't know if we'll have a broadcast, but we will probably have some onboards. see how that plays out. You can see Aliu there trying to work that Ford back up, the European driver in the UK, our series director in the SRI Touring Car Masters, and he is a fine driver in those cars, and also in sports cars. I don't think he said he felt like he had everything that he wanted in that Ford GT here at Daytona, but if he can manage to stay solid, get a top 5 finish, I think that would be something worthwhile. It looks like we have our first car on what might be a repair stop. Cautious Liquid in that Porsche 911, and he had a really good showing early on. I don't know if he's in there much longer after they're done with the tires. I believe he's getting something repaired, so tough luck for him. He can still fight to get a points finish, but good showing here in the early parts of the race. He made that Porsche 911 work for him, got it through the field a bit, and he's still got time to try to grab a few spots. There's still very early in this race. There's always room for other people to have their problems, so we'll see how Cautious Liquid, the SRI rookie, manages to handle it coming out here. Meanwhile, up front, it's getting awfully close. We got a few timing penalties on the board. Let's get on board that Corvette last night here in the US 300 IndyCar Series opener, and he is right up on the rear of the line. Pogo, veteran driver, known as a hard driving, take no quarter type of driver. Runs you clean but hard, and right now he is looking to get that lead. Pogo had, I'm not going to say Pogo is not a patient driver, but he is known to want to get to the front when he can. And I think here as we head towards the 1 hour mark, getting to where the pit windows might be open, I think Pogo wants to get that track position. He has managed to maintain here and hang on with the line here in the early parts of this 9th race. And I said Daytona and Le Mans, the only two on the schedule going to 9th, and the rest of the race straight to 60-minute mark. Coming through the bus stop nice and smooth. This is where you can get some dirty air right behind somebody and cause you a little bit of trouble. Pogo, I think, knows that better than anybody. He's had his flare-ups in there before. He's just trying to hang those two vents together. And so that's 1, 2, 3, BMW 4, Corvette 5, and among the top 5 drivers. See what their lap times are coming this time by. 1:42. We'll see where Cat Guy and Kokoski come out. 1:43.2, 1:43.3, 43.6. Kokoski back in. Should be crossing on 1:44.0 for Cat Guy, I should say. And about another 7 seconds. We'll see Kokoski's time 44.1. So he's front two. I think they've got clean air, nobody behind them. I think that they're quick, and I think that they're drafting together to pick up the time. So these two are definitely running a smart race here in the early going. But I do think Pogo might be interested in getting the lead. Meanwhile, back CMC in that BMW, he's moved up another spot. He's passed Aliu 82 to move into 6th place. So CMC shotgun on the field in 13th has moved that Beamer all the way up to 6th. And with McTosty's 2nd place qualifying spot, I think very surprising and effective performance here. Maybe it's the Hankook tires that are doing it for CMC, but he has got that car dialed in and has been steadily moving up through the field, now into the top 6 as we near the 1 hour mark here at the Daytona International Speedway. Cars starting to separate out towards the back and just looking to get themselves into a position. Just Pidlin, as you can see, running in the as fast as the leaders, a 1:43.8. He's running right up there with the top guys, but didn't get the qualifying run that he wanted. Had to battle through some traffic, and he's sitting back here in 8th, far from done in the Chevy Corvette. You know, he'd love to move up, and looks like Pogo's had a problem. Pogo from second place, he has fallen down and he has got major damage. And I'm wondering, is there any on O'Brien's car? Was there contact with O'Brien? No, it does not appear it was with O'Brien. It looks like Pogo must have had his own trouble, and terrible, terrible luck for Pogo Mojo in the Elite Store 39 Corvette. Running up in the top two, looking very much like a contender, and he has got to be into the pit lane now for repairs. We didn't catch where it happened, but being on the backstretch, I'm going to guess possible bus stop. There's no damage on O'Brien, so I don't think that there was contact between them. Just speculating here, but for Pogo, this is going to be a tough spot, and for a guy who definitely fancies himself and is fancied by all of us pundits as an SRI Sports Car Championship contender this season, he's going to want to get back out there and get every single point that he can possibly get. So a first real tough luck, first big contender to go down here in the early going. And that leaves O'Brien all by his lonesome, running out alone. Let's see what he can do without a drafting partner, as that puts O'Brien into first, or stays in first. Cat Guy now moving up to second from a sixth place starting position. So he's moved up pretty dang well here in the early on from sixth to second. CDN Trooper, meanwhile, 9 seconds back. He is battling with McToasty for third place. That's those two right there. We're going to pick up that battle here in a moment. And CMC, through all that, has moved all the way up to fifth from a 13th starting spot. We've got one retiree so far, Quiet Man, parking his car at his Corvette after some early troubles. Meanwhile, McToasty and CDN Trooper Toasty in the BMW USA number 25 M6. A little more than 31 minutes in, still just under an hour to go here at the Daytona Continental. A grueling race to kickstart the SRI Sports Car Championship season here at Daytona Speedweeks. Check it out on the Sim Racing International at discord.com. The driver's handbook will point out. Looks like Muttley hitting the pits as well in that Ford. That might be a scheduled stop. It seems like it'd be a little early for that, so I can't really tell if he maybe has damage. But as I said, you can check out your driver's handbook. But points tables are fairly top heavy here in the SRI. You get built-in bonuses for wins, podiums, top fives. All the top 10 scores, 20 for the win, 17 for second, 15 for third, 12 for fourth, 10 for fifth. And then there's a drop down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 6 through 10. So getting in that top 5 is really where the big points are. 20, 17, 15, 12, 10 over the top 5. That's where you really want to get. But 6 through 10 also score points. And with points provisionals determining who's locked into the field on a week-by-week basis in the open entry system, you need every point you can get. As I said, Pogo back there in ninth. He's just going to want to drive hard and try to get everything he can in this championship. 10 rounds of the championship, 10 tough races. You need to do everything you can to stay in it. Toasty falling back a little right there from CDN, who's back up into third. And Toasty could have another BMW on his tail very soon. Up front, it continues to be O'Brien, has led all 18 laps so far from the pole. We'll see how his times do as he's running alone. Cat Guy's running alone, but they're far from done. It depends on, pit strategy is going to tell a lot. Do you need to take tires? Are you going to keep the same tires on? How much fuel are you taking? All this stuff will affect the time of the stop. So we're going to see a lot of stuff shuffle up. I expect to see the pit window should be opening within the next, any time now is when the pit window opens. Most guys play it conservative and pit around halfway, whatnot, if they figure they're only going to need one stop. But you can make some strategy moves by pitting earlier, pitting later, depends on where you're at in the track. If I was in traffic or didn't feel comfortable where I was, I might decide to make an early pit stop. But this race far from decided. But O'Brien's just so smooth, 143.5 last time by going through the infield in that car. And he has been excellent in the Corvettes in his sim racing career. And here at SRI, I really expect him to be a championship contender in the SRI Sports Car Championship. And right now here at Daytona, the North American driver's shining. It's all U.S. and Canadians in the top 5. Cat guy running quick. 143.9 last time by. He's come up from a 6th place starting spot and moved up into 2nd. He's got to keep it together the whole race, but he knows how this race plays out. He's thinking about his pit strategy. What can I do to gain a little bit of time on O'Brien, who appears to be slightly quicker on the track on their own, at least at this point in the proceedings. CDN Trooper, meanwhile, he's had up and down. He had himself a spin earlier, but he has fought back and has maintained his hold there on 3rd place. He ran a 143.4, which may have been the fastest by last time. Yes, it indeed was the fastest lap last time by. So he may be getting that car into the field. You know, a lot of these guys, if they're good at taking care of their tires and they still have good tires, when that fuel load gets low, they're going to pick up some speed, and he might just be doing that, putting himself in a position to get that going. Meanwhile, it looks like Alu82 and just Piddlin has caught up to Alu82 and his Ford. So we got Ford versus Chevy for 6th place. That's Alu82 from the UK and the Ford just Piddlin from the US in the Corvette right behind them. And these two guys battling it out. Alu's a guy I definitely expect to see, especially on the European leg of the championship when we get to the summer months. First 3 weeks of the season are running spring, weeks 4 through 7 in summer, weeks 8 through 10 in fall. So when he gets to the European leg in the summer weeks, I really expect him to be there. But Daytona's a tough track to set up for. Next week at Sonoma, I'll bet you Alu's going to be a definite podium contender. We really look forward to seeing him tomorrow in the SRI Touring Car Masters, the Daytona Touring Masters event. In the opener in that series, that is a definite championship contender on the Touring Car Masters. He is definitely one of the Touring Car Masters. He's trying to hold off just Piddlin here. It's Piddlin running in 7th. A couple of guys here looking to try to move up. As I said, the points table as it works, top heavy towards the wins, podiums, and top 5s. Each of the top 10 drivers scores points. So that jump from 5 to 6 is a big one. So you definitely want to get into the top 5 and pick up those extra points. And right now, when you're that close to the bus stop, you're feeling that dirty air if you're just Piddlin. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And that makes it a good time again to go ahead and get into our cockpit and see what just Piddlin is seeing here. A little less than 30 seconds back here. We're 38 minutes in to the SRI season. Let's chime in on the commentary if you like. Got our few live viewers. We'll have plenty more in the broadcast. As he's looking like he's thinking of making the move. I think just Piddlin feels like he might be a little quicker right now. Wants to get moving up and try to make a move on the BMW CMC. McToasty falling back a bit. He stayed in the 144s after qualifying 2nd. He's been running around that pace much of the race, and that's going to hold him steady and forward. Looking to give, as I said, if he can hang on for a top 5, it sets you up well for the rest of the season. With the top 10 in points on any given week being locked in, that means the top 10 finishers this week are locked into next week's California Grand Prix at Sonoma. But these two battling it out right now. Maybe drafting a little bit out. You got into the 143s on that last one. So they're pacing with the leaders and maybe even making up some ground. And it looks like O'Brien, I don't want to leave this battle, but O'Brien has fallen back. He lost about 5 seconds. What did he? Yeah, 150. He had some kind of problem. I don't see any damage on the car, but he was about 6-7 seconds slow on that lap. So O'Brien, as we said, hang around, because if he blinks, if O'Brien blinks, that's what's going to happen. And there it is. All of a sudden, Cat Guy's within 5 seconds. So O'Brien had his first bit of trouble. Appeared to catch the car okay. I don't see any damage on his Corvette, but he's hanging on right now. Shut up. Damn kids. But that has moved Cat Guy right back into contention, moved everybody up a bit. And you're starting to see McTosty's down in the 43 now, CMC's down in the 43s now on lower fuel. These guys are really starting to pick it up and catch up to the leaders in terms of pace. So we've got a lot of shaking down as we are inside of 5 minutes to the halfway point here at the Daytona Continental. You're going to start seeing guys pull in for pit stops. I think if I saw my car picking up speed, I might stay out and run on lower fuels. Other guys, however, may be struggling with their tires. Depends on if you're planning on taking your tires the full 90 minutes. If you are, then that gives you a lot less to consider as far as when you're going to pit, because you know you're just going to be taking fuel. So it becomes a matter of what's the quickest way to get in and out of pits if I'm only taking fuel. I do think there's going to be guys taking tires, though. Just Piddling and Alyu still right on top of each other. We'll take a look towards the back of the field. Molotov in the other Live Store number 38 car back in 8th, running about 50 seconds back. He was running well earlier, got up into the middle of the pack, and has kept that car clean. So he is by no means out of moving up. He's in a point scoring position, and he's by no means out of moving up. Looks like he's pacing around the 45s right now. So he'd love to get that going and move something up. Back in 9th, Pogo, who was running right up near the front, had to come in and get that car repaired. He is right back on pace despite the cosmetic damage. His crew did an excellent job making repairs, and he is right back on pace. I believe he is still on or close to the lead lap. Let's see where the leader is. No, he's right behind O'Brien. That's O'Brien right in front of him. So Pogo just off the lead lap and running in 9th place, and he ran a 142.5. I don't know if that's the fastest lap of the race. Now's a good time to check it. O'Brien's got a 142.4, and I believe, no, 142.2 by Pogo is the fastest lap of the race so far. And he is looking to make up ground on those guys in front of him. Running in 9th, he's got 47.5 minutes. Try to pick up some more points. NXW, do not want to quit the session. Alright, yeah, NXW running in 10th. He looked pretty solid early. Was up towards the halfway, or up towards the middle of the pack, I should say. And has been fighting that Corvette ever since, but he's kept it underneath him. Doesn't look like there's any real damage problems to it. And he's in a point scoring position back in 10th, and that's not terrible. 13 starters, that's not terrible for a guy making his league debut. He's looking to bring that thing home, and he can keep that pace 45s, get it maybe up a little bit. He's not completely out of gaining on some guys in front of him. He had to make a pit stop. So we'll see. He's going to be out for a little while longer, I believe. We'll see how that works out. Meanwhile, Cautious Liquid in the lone Porsche 911 entry. He looked very racy, very good early on. Another SRI rookie driver. And he's back in 11th now, looking to try to get back into the points position. But he had a very solid run in the first 20 minutes or so of the race till he ran into some trouble. So we'll see what he can do heading towards the end. And of course, our Australian veteran Muttley in the factory Ford GT number 7. He had to make some repairs and is currently running shotgun. Of the cars running, we have one retiree. That was Quiet Man. He'll be classified as 13th. And McToasty appears he does now have CMC not far behind him in those the two BMWs in the race. McToasty qualified second, hanging there in fourth, but drive of the race to the guy behind him, that is CMC, started 13th shotgun on the field, and he has just steadily moved through this field. He has had to pass more cars than anybody and is currently hanging on to that top 5 spot and appears to be a little quicker than McToasty. Here at this juncture, as we are just about to take the 45-minute marks, that will be the crossed flags for halfway, and it looks like McToasty is going to pit right on halfway, as is CDN Trooper. CDN Trooper's vet, he's in. McToasty's BMW, he's in. So first scheduled round of pit stops being made now by the front runners, and we'll see how quick. We saw where they were at when they came in. We'll see where they're at when they come out, how close they are to those leaders. Can they gain some time here? CDN's fueled up, maybe making a couple of repairs there, and he's out and ready to go. McToasty's still getting service, but CDN's up and running. We'll check back in on them in a moment. And there's McToasty finally running. O'Brien, meanwhile, still holding about 5 seconds ahead over Cat Guy before. We'll see how it cycles out when he decides to make his pit stop. Now, will everybody at this point decide, I need to come in, I need to come in? I might stay out a little while. If I'm feeling comfortable with the car, I might run it down. But it may be that they pitted when they did because they wanted to put less fuel in and try to get a quicker pit stop. So we'll have to see how that sorts out. They came out middle of the pack, 7th and 8th. We'll see if they can catch up from here. Cat got 5 seconds back. CMC, meanwhile, with the pit stops all the way up to 3rd. And Alu and Just Piddlin are now battling for 4th place. We have a number of timing penalties on the field, most of them minor 2-second penalties for CMC, Just Piddlin. Molotov has a 7-second penalty, which could be tough. 2 seconds for CDN, 2 seconds for Pogo, 14 for NXW, and 1 second for Cautious Liquid. And these two just continuing to battle. Chevy, they're now up to 4th on the cycle of pit stops and still maintaining right about 20 seconds back. They said it was all about the early part of the race and track positions. Value and Just Piddlin are running just as fast as the leaders. They just need a little bit of luck and to try to gain some time on their pit stop as we pass the halfway point now. Looks like Molotov hitting the pit lanes in his number 38 Corvette. Looks like basic service. And it looks like Just Piddlin made the pass on now. He moves into 4th place. As these two are trying to get up towards the podium, as I said, with the point system 1 through 10, from 20, 17, 15, 12, 10, and then they drop off at 6th, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That top 5 is vitally important. And so they're going to try to do what they can do to maintain it. It looks like Alu, a little bit of fun entering the bus stop there. He catches it. Probably gets a slowdown, keeps the car moving. And it looks like our next front runner, Cat Guy, will hit the pit lanes here on lap 27. Just over 40, it's under 42 minutes to go. Will he have a quick enough stop? He was 5 seconds behind O'Brien on entering the pit lane. Let's see what happens when they cycle. You got to figure he'll lose a little time just on the getting the tires cleaned off and up to temperature and all that. Looks like Alu's hit the pit lane as well in the Ford. He moves in, makes his scheduled pit stop. And we'll see where Cat Guy comes out. As he gets that car up and running, pitted in at 2nd. He's 5th in the scoring right now. there's a long way to go here. We'd be down to about 10 minutes to go in a normal race. As of now, these guys making their stop. The cat guy gets it out and going. He comes out in 4th place. We'll wait and see. We're going to wait and see what happens when Brian, CMC just piddling. They all have it. Pit O'Brien, meanwhile, he is coming in now. All right. Let's take a look. He was 5 seconds up before the two of them pitted. O'Brien led from the pole, 28 consecutive laps, 27 officially led from the pole. And it looks like CMC might pass him for the lead on the cycle of pit stops. He will. That is amazing. Started 13th on the field and has managed to move up to the lead through the cycle of pit stops. Let's take a look. He's on the pit lane. You can see him right there with your arrow. Where's Cat Guy? Cat Guy's on the back stretch coming towards the bus stop. You can see his blue arrow in the upper right corner on your map as he hits the bus stop, and that is O'Brien right there in the pit lane. So let's keep an eye on Cat Guy. O'Brien is rolling now. Cat Guy's the white dot coming through NASCAR 4. And I think O'Brien might have had an excellent pit stop. See how it cycles out. He's just getting up and rolling as Cat Guy's crossing the start-finish line. Looks like he might have gained slightly, maybe a couple seconds. Looks like about 6 seconds, so a pretty even stop between the two of them right now. They got about 10 seconds. CDN gained time on them. He was 15 seconds back. He is, yeah, I guess he's about where he was to O'Brien and Cat Guy. They all pretty much made the same pit stop, so good job by the crews. Alyou and McToasty, meanwhile, battling for 6th and 7th. Alyou's been in, they've both been in the pits. Bogo, of course, pitted early due to some damage. He's now moved that car back up to 8th place and trying to get in, just piddling, hitting the pit lane in the McCool Chevrolet from 2nd place. Looking to try to move up in the running order here. Let's see what kind of a pit stop he's going to have. Where he sorts out is going to be pretty important. But CMC, meanwhile, in that number 77 Hankook tire BMW M6. Started shotgun on the field, did not have a good qualifying run. Really, I think he got the car out there late, didn't really get a lap in. Managed, started 13th and dead last on the field. He moved all the way up into the top 5 before the cycle of pit stops even started, and now took over the lead on the cycle of pit stops. He has not been in yet, and regardless, he has had a phenomenal race here at Daytona. Moving up from the back all the way up to 1st. Looks like just Piddlin is just out of the pits, came back out in 7th. Gonna lose 7th to Pogo, who's steadily trying to move up and make up for his damage he had to get early in the race. 36.5 minutes to go, 30 laps on the board. These guys have run, that's over 100 miles at this point. But we'll have to see when CMC can put it together, or when CMC pits, what he can put together. He's fighting to come from where he did to have a chance at the top 5 and maybe even a podium is fantastic. Just Piddlin not far behind Pogo there. They're fighting for 7th. still 12 of the 13 starters on the board. Let's get inside a Ford GT. We'll give it to the number 8 factory Ford GT of Alu 82, running in 6th place. I'm not sure why we're not seeing Toasty's a little farther ahead of him than that 2 seconds implies, but here inside, you hear that hum of the Ford GT. Alu qualified in 4th and has been running middle of the pack the whole race. He has been pacing with the leaders. Just had to do some terrific battling in traffic in the early part of the race and lost some time to him. But he is fighting to try to get into that top 5. As I said, that's a 5-point gap between 5th and 6th, so a very big position right there as the UK's Alu 82 tries to keep this car running. Track cooling off a little bit more here under the heavy cloud cover, and we have CMC on the pit lane. Finally here on lap 31, he's going to come in and get some fuel. He has had himself, as I said, just an amazing race. Drive of the race so far. He's going to give up the lead here. As you can see those cars in white, the white dots on the backstretch, that is O'Brien and OGR Cat Guy. Cat Guy is OGR there in 3rd place. Those of you who have been confused by the abbreviations, OGR Cat Guy. And they are obviously going to pass him here, but he has done a fantastic job of moving up. O'Brien's going to reclaim the lead. We'll see where CMC comes out. It looks like CDN and McToasty might have him as well, because he's not quite gotten rolling yet. He's got a pretty good sized service, put the fuel in, he's ready to go. And I think he's going to cycle out here in 5th, maybe even in 6th place. Because Alu and Pogo, these guys are coming. Pogo has had himself a fantastic recovery drive so far. But he, of course, may have to make another pit stop. He had to pit early. We don't know if his fuel is going to get him to the end from where he was at. So let's try and wait that out. Yeah, it looks like he must have had a pit problem. That's a good call there from one of our pit reporters there. Next to John Rico. Looks like CMC had a bit of a pit problem. He still comes out in 5th place though, so he got it up and running. And he is in the contention for a top 5, maybe even a podium, the way he's driven so far. But he's got Alu 82 right behind him. And Pogo's not far back either, or is just fiddling. Meanwhile, we'll cycle back through the order, just over half an hour to go. O'Brien, meanwhile, holding that same 5-second or so lead on Cat Guy, and those two are lapping close to each other. It really becomes a matter of who is going to blink. There's Cat Guy cycled out into 2nd, and they've got quite a gap of over 10 seconds on CDN Trooper, who has settled into 3rd from, where did he qualify? I think he qualified 3rd, did he not? So he's holding right where he was. And then back to McToasty in the BMW from the 2nd qualifying spot. He's running that thing in 4th. CMC's BMW is 5th, and then it starts to get really congested. Alu 82's Ford is 6th. Pogo Mojo, after making the early stop for damage, we don't know that he's going to be able to make it to the end, but he has got that car all the way back up in the 7th. Just Piddling is running in 8th. NXW in 9th, and a little ways back, Cautious Liquid has got the Porsche running in 10th, and he and Molotov are going to be fighting for that last top 10 points paying position. You can bet. Back to the cockpit here. Pogo in 7th. You can see the crack, the damage on the windshield that car took. Obviously a big hit. I think it was in the bus stop. But he's all the way up to 7th, trying to move inside. See it, Alu moving side by side there. As Alu went wide, they managed to avoid contact, and Pogo does in fact move into 6th. for the time being. And now U82 is back to 7th. As we close in on the half-hour mark, I don't think we've seen the last of those two battling there in the middle of the pack. Pogo, an amazing drive after having to make that early pit stop. But as I said, I don't know. He might cut kind of close on fuel from where he had to pit for damage. But if he can drive that thing back up into a top 5 position, that may rival CMC for the driving the race. Matter of fact, Pogo moving in on CMC now for that 5th place spot after CMC lost a little time apparently on his pit stop. Cat guy down in the 142s and moving up and in. Yeah, these three are not going anywhere. 5, 6, and 7. Get on the chase cam here with Value in 7th, over right in front of him, and CMC in that BMW just in front of him. I don't know if CMC's aware of Pogo's predicament. I might assume that the guy has to pit and just let him by. We'll have to see. Here comes Pogo. We're on chase cam again, looking to make that move into the top 5 on CMC. But you're talking about two hard-nosed drivers here. I don't see either one of these guys giving it up very easily, although, depends. If you don't think Pogo's going to make it on the field, I would CMC. So go ahead and go. And I'll worry about where I'm at when these two are battling, coming back on to the front stretch. Pogo's been lightning quick since he's come out of the pit lane with that, with those repairs. Moved him on in this field. Does not get quite the position. CMC battling side by side. Hope CMC didn't get a slowdown there. But these two are going to battle for it. Battle for 5th place. That's CMC in the white and orange BMW on the bottom lane. Pogo in the black and green Corvette on the top lane. And as they head down to turn 1, it looks like Pogo took that outside line and may have got that moved together. That car is pinned together at the front with the repairs, but it's obviously aerodynamically sound because he is running laps down in the 43s with regularity here since making those repairs all the way up to 5th place. Inside of 28 minutes now. Value's back there as well, just hanging around looking to get involved with this, and it looks like there's a battle for 10th still. Molotov holding off Cautious Liquid. That is for a points paying position, and a big one here in the opening week, because whoever finishes in 10th ends up with a provisional starting spot for the next week, and whoever doesn't may have to qualify in on time. So that is a very big battle right there between those two drivers for 10th place. Let's take a quick chance to get on board in the Corvette, or I'm sorry, the Porsche 911 with Cautious Liquid making his debut in the community. And he ran, as I said, we talked about it, he ran really well early on. He was as high up as 5th, I think, 5th or 6th, until he had some trouble. But he's got every reason to be battling for that spot. As I said, as you see Molotov going a little wide there here through the infield. And it's the final point paying position of 10th, and he's locking in next week's race. And with Molotov, however, holding on to 8 seconds worth of penalties, Liquid would actually be in front from where he is right now. So there is quite a few of those on there to be looking at. We'll take a closer look at them as we get towards the end of the race. Other guys start to wear out, fatigue. It is endurance racing, and you may see some extra mistakes along the way. Pogo's got a little bit of room on CMC there for 5th place, but but back up front, it's maintaining right about that same gap. Brian and Cat Guy have been just exchanging laps with those Corvettes, and I really think down the stretch here, it's going to come down to, you know, I don't believe these guys took tires. Those were fairly quick pit stops. I think they're trying to make their various tire manufacturers go the full 90 minutes. And that means that these tires are going to start feeling it real hard, especially now before the fuel's burnt off. Towards the tail end of the race, when you're on light fuel load, I think it can help out quite a bit with some of the grip you're losing from the tires. But at this point, when you're on tires that are over an hour old, 37 laps, you're looking at 120 miles or so, 115 miles, 120 miles old, and still quite a bit of fuel in the car. This is probably the worst that the cars are going to handle all day, is right here in this section of the race. And so you've got to try to maintain, don't make that mistake that puts the other guy back in it. Brian took the pole, led from the pole. He's only not led on the sequence cycle pit stops. And there you see Cat Guy in the factory vet, not far behind him, still holding in there. There's Cat Guy coming through turn 6 back onto the super speedway. CDN Trooper just getting through the second of the infield airplanes back in third. He's got a slight time penalty to deal with, however, himself, which could come into play as he's only 5 seconds ahead of McToasty back and forth, and CDN's got a 2-second penalty he's dealing with. So McToasty in that BMW qualified second. He's running quick laps. He's got it up into the 43s. He's been solidly in the top 5 all race long in that BMW USA M6. And trying to move in on CDN Trooper for a possible podium finish here at Daytona. What do they got? Who's got to make another stop? You know, these are the questions we're asking, wondering about as we head towards the conclusion of the inaugural SRI Season 1 Daytona Continental. That guy's moving in a little, but maybe not enough. He's about a 1/10.5 quicker that time. He's really got to get a little more than that. O'Brien has maintained pace even without a drafting partner, as has Cat Guy, but right now you may want somebody. I used to argue that here it's tough to tell. Sometimes if your car is good enough, yeah, you can take advantage, but a car that will draft well is going to lose time having a partner in the infield. So I got to believe O'Brien's got a quick infield car and has done an excellent job of gaining time when on his own. He's a Corvette veteran, knows how to set this car up. Looks like we have NXW hitting the pit lane from 9th again in his first showing. Overshoots the box a little, gets back in the box. And they're going to start off their service as he's trying to get to the finish. And he falls out of the top 10, so a tough break for him. He's going to have to drive his heart out when he gets back out to try to get back into that top 10 points paying position. Molotov and Cautious Liquid now continuing that battle for 9th place. Corvette versus Porsche. There you see it. There's another vet lap car. Cautious is not far behind there towards the back. Molotov hanging on at 9th position. There you see the Porsche coming up behind him. That's the position battle he's dealing with. They got quite a gap up to Just Midland, who's running alone in 8th and trying to get in on ALU82 for 7th. ALU, meanwhile, chasing CMC and the BMW there. Now you in 7th place, qualified 4th in that number 8 Ford. And he has been grinding that thing along as we are getting now down to 20 minutes remaining in the Daytona Continental. These drivers working lap 39 on the board. So it's been a grueling run. I'll remind you, viewers, again, tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, SRI season 1 Daytona 500 to kick off the Grand National Championship. That will be, about 2 hours and 10 minutes after the conclusion of this race. Probably have the pre-race warm-ups going about an hour beforehand, and there are spaces available to the SRI members. Check out, and you can join yourself. Go to discord.com, search Sim Racing International, join the Discord, sign up for the event. You too can be on track with the best in the console sim racing. CMC coming through the bus stop there. Still holding a 6, still in my opinion holding the drive of the race. Started 13th, dead last on the field, drove himself all the way up into the top 5. And right now he's hoping that he can catch Pogo, or that Pogo can have some kind of problem, and he might be able to scratch a top 5 finish out of a race that he started shotgun on the field, which would be phenomenal. While up front, here's O'Brien. Back onto the oval, he's going to be heading towards the bus stop. You can see the intervals bouncing. I don't know how accurate those are. Timing loops on the oval can be a bit odd due to the banking of the super speedway and whatnot. He actually lost a little time to Cat the last time by. Brian knows at this point in the race he's done the work to get the track position he needs. He doesn't have to be significantly faster than everybody else. He just has to keep that car underneath him, keep it clean, and bring it home for the inaugural win in the SRI Sportscar Championship. .9, 143.2, so he's stretching his legs a little on Cat Guy here. It looks like from 10th we've got a pit stop here for Cautious Liquid. That's a bit unfortunate here, and I believe it's his second time in, and it's going to knock him out. And I think he missed his stall. Yeah, it looks to me like he completely missed his stall. He's going to drive through. That is, if he needs fuel, that's going to be an unfortunate situation for Cautious Liquid, as he looks to me like he missed his stall coming in, and he's going to have to come back around and come back in, and I don't know where he's at. We'll see the timing. That may cost him 10th place, so let's wait and see. But that final points paying spot is definitely in jeopardy right there. He had a good battle going with Molotov, and it looks to me like that car's a little Yankee. He might need some, car's a little janky. He might need some repairs. Wait and see when he comes back by. I'm assuming we'll see him hit the pit lane when he comes back by. Got about 30 seconds on 11th place, so if he pits, he's definitely going to lose that 10th place position. And I believe he's going to have to. Just Piddling still working on Alu in 7th, just Piddling in 8th. Just a few seconds back here as we get down to the nitty-gritty, nearing the 15-minute mark to go here at the Daytona Continental. And you're looking at that from just Piddling. You've got 12 seconds right there is a 7-point difference up to 5th place if he can get up there. So that is a huge gap that you can get. You want to try to close that. He's got to get in here on Alu and CMC, and he's running faster than they are. He might be moving in on them. As there you go, Cautious Liquid is now hitting the pit lanes, and unfortunately looks like he's going to fall out of the top 10. From what was a credible drive from him up to that point. But just Pidlin looks like he's moving in. We'll see what the lap times are. CMC had trouble that lap with a 49. Alliu ran a 46. And Pidlin's going to be in the 44, so he's definitely moving in on those guys in front of him. The big question is, can Pogo make it on fuel? We don't know. He had to make an early pit stop for damage after qualifying. Was he in third? Yeah, it was Pogo in third. Excuse me, not CDN. CDN qualified fifth. But Pogo was in third, qualifying. He was running second for the early part of the race until he took that damage. So we'll have to wait and see what his story is going to be. We've also got a few time penalties to deal with. Let those sort themselves out on the track. CDN Trooper from the 5th qualifying spot has got that number 63 vet comfortably in 3rd. He's got a very strong gap. You can see his arrow there. The white cars are the white dots are the cars that are on the same lap as him. So he's got a pretty good gap in front and behind. And really, I think would be happy just driving this thing home in 3rd place and getting a podium finish to kickstart the season is a great way to start it. And he's run a solid race. He stayed out of trouble. He had one early spin in turn 1, didn't damage the car, got it going. The big thing is to get your composure back, not let one mistake snowball into another. And he really has done a fantastic job of keeping that car underneath him all day. He is one of the guys we fully expect to be a contender for the championship in this series. And he's looking like he may be in position for the podium. CMC and Alliu still not far apart. Just Pidlin not far behind Alliu there. Alliu in the number 8 Ford. You can see Pidlin coming up behind him down for 7th. There's two guys right there mid-pack fighting for every last position as we are getting down to the nitty-gritty here at the Daytona International Speedway. Looks like maybe trouble getting the tire temperatures up for Alliu. That might be it. You can see the blue on the tires. That's not always accurate on our graphic, but if it is, I think that might be part of it. Hasn't quite had the car that he's wanted, but he's still run a solid race and right there in contention in the top half of the field all day long, even if he doesn't have the car that he wants. But that Corvette is breathing down his neck for 7th place. And they're both trying to get up on CMC. You can see just in the foreground in that BMW. Really great performance. We expected to see the vets be fantastic, but McToasty and CMC really surprised and pleasantly so by the BMW performances here in Daytona. Looks like the BMW team is going to have a strong team this season. Over the next couple days with the Grand National Championship, Daytona 500, the V8 Supercars Championship, and the Touring Car Masters. But next week, these guys will be heading out to Sonoma Raceway on the West Coast in California. 7 p.m. Eastern. That will be round 2 of the SRA Sportscar Championship. Much different racetrack out there on the Grand Prix circuit at Sonoma. And it looks to me like, yep, Pidlin is going to move right in on. Looks like he may have a shot. say, is one of the 2 longest races of the season. Driver fatigue at this point has got to be a thing, and we're really impressed. 12 of the 13 starters still out there on the track here, looking to get a finish as we close in. On the checkered flag. Gonna check back in with that battle here shortly, but give us a rundown through. O'Brien coming through some lap traffic here, and that could be key. Looks like that's Muttley. He's coming through to lap again, and that dirty air could affect him here towards the end of his race. Have to wait and see. Muttley pulls out of the way, takes the blue flag, gets out, lets O'Brien through, but may have given up a little bit of time as we hit the mark. 10 minutes remaining here at Daytona. .44.9, a little drop off on that lap, so we lost about a second getting through the traffic, but Cat Guy's going to have the same traffic as he's comfortably in second. Qualified 6th. Got to think that Cat Guy's going to be happy with this performance. He'd love to have a shot at winning the Continental. A second place finish to start the season is a great way to get you started. You're going to be a contender for the championship, being consistent to get on the podium, obviously. And Cat Guy's got to be happy. Just a solid race, keeping himself out of trouble. Bit of a gap back there to CDM Trooper, still sitting comfortably in third. Looks like our podium. Long way to go. We could still see some action, but right now these guys feeling pretty comfortable. McTosty's from a second place qualifying spot has got that BMW in 4th, but he's got Pogo Mojo all over him now and trying to move up. Pogo, as we said, qualifying 3rd, was running in 2nd when he had some trouble in the bus stop, had to come in, get some repairs, got off sequence, and has just driven back up through the field into 5th place for Pogo Mojo in the 39 Ridge there. Now you can see the remnants of that damage. His crew repaired right there. The question is does he have enough fuel to get to the end of the race? I don't know if he's going to have to take a splash of fuel, and that could be vital. This is a definite championship contender, and a top 5 finish here is absolutely crucial. So he's burping that throttle as much as he can. I think it needs to be less about whether or not he can pass McToasty and more about easing that throttle off. He's got 12 seconds back to CMC that he can give up. But trying to keep enough fuel on board, that's got to be Pogo's main thing right now. Just to try to limp this thing home, get this thing home in top 5 would be an absolutely terrific finish for him, considering the early trouble he got in a great recovery drive, as we call it. We said he's been looking through that cracked windshield for most of the race, which can definitely distract you. See coming to turn 1, he's just smooth through the technicals. Really holding tight. Toasty and the Beamer fighting to maintain the top 4 position. Looks like we've had another car retire, and I believe that is, unfortunately, cautious liquid in the Porsche. Second car to retire here just before the finish. unfortunate for him. He had a solid drive, had some pit troubles there at the end, and missed his pit stall. Looks like he's withdrawn that Porsche from the race. Still 11 of 13 starters here running at the finish. That is an excellent number as Pogo's looking to make that move. He knows with his time penalty he's got to make the move and then put a gap on, and Toasty knows that as well. So these two are nose to tail battling for position. CDN, meanwhile, has really moved in on Cat Guy, who appears to have had a problem. Cat Guy lost some time there, and all of a sudden, CDN right behind him, their timings are equal at 2-2, so could we have a battle for second place here in the last 5 minutes? Because all of a sudden, there's Cat Guy and CDN's not far behind, 4 or 5 seconds. Pogo still trying to get on McToasty. Excuse me, in the BMW. Or Pogo trying to get on McToasty in the BMW there. We are inside of 5 minutes now. Whatever problem Cat had there opened up the gap by about 10 seconds. I'm anticipating Cat's next lap is going to be in the 150s that we'll see up on the board. That gave O'Brien a lot of breathing room here towards the end. He can cruise that car to the finish and just try to bring this thing home of what's really been a dominating performance. But meanwhile, battle for fourth on your screen. McToasty and Pogo. Pogo coming by. And it looks like he's got the power in that Corvette. And he does. Pogo gets it done on McToasty down the front stretch, moves into fourth place here inside of 4 minutes. Now he's got to try to build the gap because of his time penalties, and McToasty's not giving it to him. He's coming right back at him on the inside. You can see a little bit of flex on the left side of that front quarter panel. I believe McToasty's got a little bit of damage he's dealing with, but he's still running in the 43s despite that, so that car obviously in decent shape. Just an excellent driver. Maybe that is not damage. I thought I saw it moving, but could be wrong. Pogo moving into fourth. If he can hang on, I mean, you're talking about a phenomenal comeback drive. Get that thing up into fourth place. But I still don't know if he has to pit. That's the big question. Cat Guy's gap on CDN. There's a lap car between them. But it's been a terrific debut race here for the SRI Sportscar Championship. These guys have put on a great show here in one of the biggest events of the year. Looks like McToasty got backed by Pogo. Wondering if Pogo had a slowdown or something along those lines. Check back in, but meanwhile up front, there's O'Brien. What can you say? Won the pole, led all the way. He's led every lap except through the cycle of pit stops. So he's led all but about 4 laps of the race. And he's been in terrific position. There's 2 minutes, little girl. Hang tight. Just hanging on there over Pogo. Perhaps Alu's falling back to 8th. He lost that spot just piddling, and he's obviously been struggling a little with that car. But it looks like he's going to bring it home. Get a points finish. All top back at 9th. He's going to wind up with a points finish. Did a solid drive. And NXW had some early trouble in that Corvette, and he's kept it underneath him. And out of the 13 starters, looks like he's going to end up with the top 10. so credit to him. Excellent job. All right, inside of a minute, cap around number 26, Chevy Corvette of O'Brien from the pole. This may be 42 seconds where he's at. I don't know. It looks like this will be the 51st and final lap. Don't know. He's not going to get all the way back by. So this could be the final lap. Brian, as we said, took the pole. He's led all the way through. He has had a fantastic run. And looks like he can bring it home. He will be the inaugural winner of the SRI Sportscar Championship and the first winner of one of the biggest races of the season, the Daytona Continental, the traditional sports car opener during Daytona Speedway. As he comes down to the bus stop for the final time, it looks like Cat Guy and CDN might actually have a battle going, and they do, and we'll get back to that, but we're going to stay on board with our leader as he brings it around. What more can you say? Just a fantastic drive. He drove from the front, had one brief blink during the race, but no harm, no foul. And here he comes. Here is the man. O'Brien 79 is your SRI Season 1 Daytona Continental Champion. With a fantastic run. We'll go back to the battle for second. It looks like, yeah, they're at it. Cat Guy and CDN down the front stretch. Looking, battling 2-3. CDN might have got him. I think he might have got him. And he does. CDN passes Cat Guy right on the last turn of the last lap for second place. And that's worth a valuable 2 points. So a 4-point swing between those two there brings it home. Don't see any big battles for position. Pogo is just about, he's got to be running on fumes, but I think he's actually going to bring it home in 5th place. And he will. He ran that thing down to 0, but got it done with a tremendous recovery drive. And he gets it home, but we'll go through our finishing order here in a moment, but there's the man of the hour in the number 26 Caporal Chevy Corvette. That is O'Brien 79 with a masterful performance to pick up the win here at Daytona. In the Daytona Continental, takes the early points lead in the Sports Car Championship. And really, what more can you say? He ran under pressure from Pogo for the early third of the race. Once Pogo had a problem and had to fall back, O'Brien was on his own and he maintained pace. Had just one small bobble during the race, but held on the whole way and picks up the inaugural victory as your Daytona Continental Champion for SRI Season 1. As the clock winds down, we'll let all this sort itself out and give you your final finishing order. All right, your final finishing order in the SRI Season 1 Daytona Continental. O'Brien 79 is your winner from the pole. CDN Trooper with that last second pass on the final turn of the final lap will move up to claim second. OGR Cat Guy will join him as your podium finishers. McToasty brings the BMW home in 4th. Pogo, running out of fuel at the end, drove all the way back through from the damage and manages a 5th place finish, so a great run for him. Just Piddlin is going to move up into 6th place after the penalty cycle out, so a solid run. CMC, got to give him credit, in 7th, started 13th, shotgun on the field, drove it up, led some laps. He ends up coming home in 7th with a solid performance. Alu82 manages to come home in 8th. Molotov brings it home in 9th, and NXW is your final classification finisher out of the 13 starters. Had to get my screenshot there. All right, folks, so we are done here for now. We will be back with you here at 8 p.m. Eastern for the SRI Daytona 500 in the Grand National Championship. So for all the drivers, congratulations to our podium finishers, all our drivers, and especially O'Brien 79. And we will be signing off. Thank you for joining us.